Visiting the Bent Pyramid was the absolute highlight of our visit to Egypt. Less well known, less crowded, and surrounded by desert, it delivers a real Indiana Jones adventure experience. Hidden chambers, secret passages, and arduous challenges. This one is not for the faint-hearted, unfit, or claustrophobic. Keep watching to find out why this pyramid is so unique and worth visiting, how the portcullis stones could trap you forever, and why following Google Maps to try and get there was a big mistake. We also provide some top tips for visiting the Bent Pyramid at the end of the video. This is Egypt's only Bent Pyramid. Located about 45 minutes drive from the famous pyramids at Giza, it's definitely worth a visit, as it's well away from the tourist crowds and exploring inside feels like a real adventure. We self-drove, which was a bit of an adventure in itself, bought tickets at the entrance with a Visa card and parked close by. It's believed the pyramid is bent because of a design flaw. It was built as a burial chamber for Pharaoh Sneferu about 4,600 years ago. It was the first attempt to build a smooth-sided pyramid. Previous pyramids were built in tiers, like this one, known as the Stepped Pyramid, which is located nearby at Saqqara, which is also definitely worth a visit. You can see the film about that also on our channel. Partway through the build of this pyramid, the engineers realised the original angle was too steep and it was becoming unstable. To increase stability, they reduced the angle, leading to the distinctive shape. The lessons from this pyramid helped Sneferu's engineer build Egypt's first true pyramid, the Red Pyramid, which is situated within the same site. Sneferu was the father of Khufu, who built the Great Pyramid at Giza, which is the largest and most famous pyramid in Egypt. The construction of this wonder of the world would not have been possible without the lessons learnt by Sneferu's engineers on this Bent Pyramid. To get inside, you climb up a set of stairs on the north side of the pyramid. From here you get a close-up view of the original casing stones, which would have been highly polished when the pyramid was first completed. The exterior of this pyramid is the best preserved in Egypt. The other, more famous and larger pyramids at Giza would have been cased in a similar way, but those stones were stripped over the centuries for building citadels and mosques in Cairo. At the top of the stairs is a platform where our tickets were checked.
Which country?
England.
Welcome.
And then we descended into the gloom. This 80-metre long shaft descends at a steep angle and has a ceiling about 1 metre high, which forces you to not only double up, but also bend your legs at the same time, which makes proceeding slow and tiring. The guides at the top had said it was easier to go backwards, but eventually we both found it easier going forwards. Wooden slats and electric lights have been added to make it easier to visit, but you can't help but imagine how daunting an experience it must have been for early explorers proceeding so far into the unknown blackness by candlelight. It really does feel like you're going into the bowels of some underworld. By the time you reach the bottom, you're over 20 metres underground, with thousands and thousands of 2.5 ton limestone blocks stacked above you. At the bottom of the shaft is a steep staircase which takes you up to this extraordinary subterranean burial chamber, whose ceiling soars upwards through the middle of the pyramid itself. What's really unique about this pyramid is found at the top of this staircase, which has been added to allow visitors access. It's a roughly hewn passageway that connects this original burial chamber to a second chamber complex. This is the point where it really started to feel like an Indiana Jones adventure, especially as for most of the time we had the place to ourselves. No one really knows why this passageway was created. but it joins the main burial chamber we've just left to a completely separate second burial chamber that is accessed by another entrance much higher up on the west side of the pyramid. That entrance is not accessible to visitors anymore. This second entrance and chamber system is a unique feature of the bent pyramid. It's speculated it could have been built as a burial chamber for Sneferu's wife, but it's not thought that either were actually buried here. So we're now in the main passageway of the second chamber system. I didn't know at the time, but that diagonal bit of wood that looks a bit like a gallows cross brace is holding up a giant portcullis stone. The wood is designed to be knocked out once the pharaoh was buried to let the stone fall into place, sealing the chamber forever. Apparently there's a second one I also didn't know about in the gloom behind me. I'll just pause the video here so you can see the slot that the portcullis stone would have locked into. Obviously the wooden floor we're standing on wouldn't have been there back in the day, so the stone would have fitted perfectly into the slot, sealing the chamber for eternity. So just make sure you don't bang your head or lean too hard on that 4,600-year-old cedar stick, or you might just have a slightly longer visit than you anticipated. This is real Indiana Jones. So this is it, the second burial chamber with original cedar beams. It was a real privilege to be able to just stop and take in the atmosphere of this awe-inspiring ancient architecture. Okay, so as we make our way out, here's some of the travel tips you need to know if you decided to visit the Bent Pyramid. We'd rented a car from the rental company Sixt at the Sphinx International Airport and were staying in Cairo near the Great Pyramid. We set off from the hotel following Google Maps, but don't do that. It took us on the most ridiculous route and tried to direct us through an Egyptian military base. We then just used Google Maps as a dumb map and tried to navigate ourselves as best we could, but because the Bent Pyramid is in the middle of the desert, it wasn't obvious which direction to approach it from. Anyway, the drive was a bit of a scenic adventure and we definitely felt like we'd dropped off the usual tourist trail. The thing to do if you are self-driving is to use Google Maps to get you to Saqqara first, which it does a reasonable job of, but messes up just before the entrance, so be aware of that. Then Google Maps will get you to the Bent Pyramid. On the way back, navigate to Saqqara first, then Cairo, not straight to Cairo, otherwise you'll be trying to enter a military camp from the other exit. We bought tickets at the gate using a Visa card. We use Revolut to minimise the exchange rate commission, but you could also pay in Egyptian pounds, dollars or euros. We could just drive ourselves around the site and could park close to the Red and Bent Pyramids. There were a handful of other tourists there, but none of the usual hustlers and vendors that swarm around the more popular sites. If you've enjoyed watching this video, why not watch the one we made about Saqqara next, as you could do both sites on the same day and both are definitely worth a visit. It would make sense to do Saqqara first, as the pyramids and tombs there are older, and you'll get a real sense of how these monuments got grander and more ambitious through the generations. Thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to our channel for more films like this one.